Beautiful. Okay.
Hello, Ching.
Yeah. How are
you? Great to see you again. Yeah.
Great to see you.
Happy
Great to see you.
2021.
Yes, yes. Happy,
Mhm.
yes. So, yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about, okay, let me introduce us first, okay? And I am Ching
Sure.
Juhl, filmmaker, Young. I have been hosting live talk shows since last year, March. Yunji, today you are my 87th episode.
Wow. That's amazing, Ching. And thank you again for having me on again, because it's such a pleasure and an honor to be not only invited once, but twice to your show. So
Yeah.
I'm extremely honored to be back and to be featured on this channel.
And Yunji, you know, this is the second time you are as a single guest, solo guest here, but you have been a huge contributor to my show and the Young Talk. You have appeared, I think the first is in March 27th, and then you were with us on April 3rd, 2020. I'm talking about last year. And then May, gosh, March, April, May, and then September you joined us. And then you were with us also on January 8th, 2021. Thank you so much for your contribution to Young Group and our talks. Let me just read a little bit of your biography, and then let's talk about the piece we just heard about, okay? So Yunji Lee is a conductor, arranger, pianist, and he calls himself.
I think your mic got muted.
Yeah, I think my mic got kicked out. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. For some reason, my cat passed by, and then I lost my mic.
It happens to me all the time.
Let me get rid of our other thing, and let's see. Oh, Nick is there. Hi, Nick. So Yunji, yeah, wears a lot of hats. So he is a founder, artistic director of Ensemble 212, which you just heard when we first played that Beethoven. Yunji Lee has built one of today's finest ensemble based in New York, which is the Ensemble 212. I want to play in there. They have received critical acclaims for their innovative programming of works by living composers, exciting interpretations of the standard repertoire, and his own arrangements and transcripts. So let's talk about all Yunji's biography is in the description below, so you can check it out, and including websites, informations, and YouTube channel, and many social media links. So Yunji, tell us a little bit about what we just heard.
Okay, what you just heard was the last movement of Beethoven's First Symphony, and this was a performance that I did back in 2014, but I felt really, really proud of it because I put a lot of my heart and soul into conducting, and usually when you're doing a project, it never really comes out perfectly, but this one really, really came out well, and so I felt very proud to share it on YouTube. And as a result, we were actually trying to fix some technical difficulties, and Ching kindly played it for us. But that was a symphony that Beethoven kind of introduced it was his introduction to the world as a symphonist, because writing a symphony is a big thing for a classical composer, and it made a statement on who he was going to be. And he was 30 years old when he wrote that when he introduced the First Symphony. And you may or may not know, depending on how familiar you are with classical music, but his style overwent a transformation by the time you get to the Ninth Symphony, that it almost sounds like a very, very different composer who has developed over a period of 24 years.
Right. Also, add on, but by the time he wrote the Ninth Symphony, he was totally deaf. It's amazing he could produce such work, right? When he couldn't really hear. So.
Yeah, I really, really admire Beethoven, because I try to imagine like what it would be like if I were deaf. And had I gone deaf at around age 30, because when he wrote the First Symphony, that's when the first signs of the deafness started coming, and it gradually got worse and worse. And I can't imagine what it must be like to be a musician, and just have your hearing, slowly deteriorate. And then, the medical knowledge at the time was not very, very advanced, right? So you had no idea what you can do. They tried all kinds of things. I mean, they even did things like they poured oil into his ears because they just didn't know better. He had all kinds of ear trumpets sticking out of his ear. It must have been really bad. But somehow he he almost committed suicide. He was so desperate. In 1802, he wrote the Heiligenstadt Testament, which he never sent to his brothers. But he talks about the despair that he felt. But somehow he found the will to carry on, and it's really, really amazing. And I admire Beethoven very, very much. He's one of my favorite composers, and he also, I think, embodies the ideals of the art of an artist that I aspire towards.
Right. Now, tell us a little bit about the ensemble. You guys, I'm very impressed by the performance. And it's a chamber orchestra. It's Beethoven. It's early Beethoven. There's nowhere you can hide. It's so clean you play. So beautiful and so delicate, yet with convictions. So tell us a little bit of your orchestra, please.
Okay, well, it's a testament to the musicians in the orchestra that play so wonderfully, because I didn't create a single note, right? But we're a collective of freelancers based in New York, and I founded the orchestra in 2004, actually, and we've been performing ever since. So it's a project that I started. I mentioned in the last video that we had that I created the orchestra because I was looking for opportunities and I wasn't getting any opportunities at the time. So I said, well, okay, if no one's going to give me opportunities, then I have to create my own opportunities. And so I started it, and then it gradually grew. So after I finished my grad school in 2006, I started like a season where I added orchestra concerts. We also had chamber music concerts and ensemble concerts, and we mixed things in. And gradually from there, we added more and more elements. We added a young artist competition the following year, and then we started a composer residence program, and we created a program called Cultural Convergences, where we try to experiment with interdisciplinary arts and like non-Western music and things like that. So I've had quite a ride with the orchestra. We've done about over 70 performances in total, I think, since our foundation. They were not all orchestral, but still 70 performances that I produced. So I really consider myself to be an artrepreneur.
That's a nice word, entrepreneur. Very nice. So now, what is this whole pandemic? It's been going on for almost a year now.
Yeah.
How does that take a toll on your ensemble work?
Yeah, so well, actually, I've been having some dilemmas with the ensemble even before the pandemic, because I'll mention this maybe a little bit later. I was brought up very, very traditionally as a classical musician, so I was mostly taught like to what's the word? To kind of idolize romantic music. I'm sure you're familiar with that, and many people who studied classical music know what that feels like. And so when I started the ensemble, it was very, very traditional. I was mostly based around standard repertoire. I did delve into a little bit of new music here and there, but not much. But over time, I really realized that as you mentioned before in the previous video, that there's so many groups in New York, it's very hard to distinguish oneself. And I realized that what I was doing was I was putting a lot of work into this ensemble, but it really wasn't uniquely distinguished somehow. So we were doing a lot of great things, but because I had such a wide variety of interests, it wasn't really focused anywhere, and I just kind of ran it like a regular ensemble. So before the pandemic happened, I was looking into ways to try to make the orchestra more distinct. And one of the ways I thought about was trying to be more of an online orchestra only. And then once the pandemic hit, of course, everybody started going online. And it really got me thinking as to what the direction of the orchestra will be. And after a lot of thought, I think I came up with this idea after we had our last video discussion, is that I would like to make Ensemble 2 into mostly a online organization, where we'd like to be like an online gateway for classical music audiences. And we want to try to use social media and technology as our primary means to broadcast our artistic output. So we're going to try to focus on 3 different things. One is the Young Artist Competition winners. So that'll be like our orchestra concert, where we have the winners play with the orchestra, and we'll feature like maybe a transcription of mine or a standard orchestral work. But then we also want to start this series of educational videos for younger audiences called New Music for Young Audiences. And this is to introduce new music or living composers to younger people, because there are many, many educational programs out there that teach about standard classical music, but there's virtually none where they try to teach new music or living composers. And I felt that that's a very, very important need, because I never had that growing up, where I wasn't really exposed to new music, and I wasn't taught what to listen for and how to appreciate what they're saying. So that I felt that was a big need that was needed to be, somebody needed to kind of take that in. And then the other thing that we want to focus on is called the Cultural Convergence series, where we want to try to work with instruments that are not necessarily, of Western classical origins. So, being a Korean American, I'm very, very interested in working with Korean instruments and learning about my heritage. So I would like to find new ways of trying to incorporate that into my music making.
Wonderful. So when you say you want to sort of more or less having the orchestra go into the direction of online, how does that work?
Okay, so the reason why I wanted to do this was because whenever we're producing a concert, see, for a small organization like us, everything is self-produced in-house. We don't have, another, like, for example, the New York Philharmonic has Lincoln Center, the Met Orchestra has Lincoln Center, but like we're kind of like, we're just like a small business, we don't have anybody to partner with, so everything is on us. So it makes it very, very difficult to produce a concert because there's so many things involved.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Because you have to worry about preparing the music, the rental hall, the insurance, all these non-musical things even before you get to the music, right? So and then many times, because we're not a large organization, we don't have a huge audience base, so we can invite like hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, but then we don't have a large audience showing up because people are busy or they couldn't make it, or just life happens, right? And so what I thought was, maybe instead of producing a concert where we have a very not so great quality video to kind of go to show for it afterwards, but maybe instead of focusing on a live concert, that we would try to focus on producing a video that we can produce on YouTube. So if we do that, then our audiences can watch our productions anytime, and there's no time limit, because if you're doing a live event, once it's done, it's done, and yes, of course you can make a video, but it's not the same feeling, right? So I thought that maybe if we produce high quality videos, because most of the music that people consume these days is through streaming or through YouTube or Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, all these things. I thought that, it's not that I am against live music. Obviously, I would like to produce everything live, but given our circumstances, it felt like that would be the right thing to do. And I actually got the inspiration for this from Glenn Gould. Because I don't know if you know this, but Glenn Gould was a brilliant concert pianist, and at the height of his career, at around like age, in his early 30s, I believe, he actually gave up performing live. Did you know that?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Why?
So the reason
he can
was
write?
No. So the reason was he didn't like concertizing, and it's not that I don't like concertizing, but he felt that his way of expressing his art was through the medium of recording and television and radio. So he gave up concert performing, and he wanted to produce things and then present it instead of doing it live.
I see.
And so I thought about that, and I said maybe that's something that Ensemble 2 and 2 can kind of specialize in, where we produce content, because there's so much content creation now, and it's so much easier to do it now in the present, where as opposed to in Glenn Gould's time, they didn't have the technology, And I was joking with my friends, like, if Glenn Gould was alive today and he saw all the podcasting and the vlogging and everything, he would have been going crazy, you know, because like this is what he dreamed of. And he actually, I think, foresaw what was going to happen in the future, that musicians will become their own editors and they would become their own content creators. And so that was the kind of like the impetus to try to do something like this. And I believe that we will be quite successful at it.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. Do you have another sample you can share with us, or another video?
Well, yeah, so this is something that we're working on towards the future, and because of the pandemic, we haven't produced anything, but I will definitely share things with you once we have stuff. But right now, what we're doing is we're doing an interview series with our musicians and our competition winners.
Right.
And you know who the source of the inspiration for that was, right?
You told me.
Yes. So our last, video conversation gave me the inspiration and the confidence to try to do this myself. And so we've, my assistant conductor and I have done about like 5 interviews, and we're going to continue doing this throughout the pandemic until we are going to be able to produce new performance content.
Is it on the same YouTube channel as that Beethoven Symphony?
Oh, it's on the orchestra's channel, Ensemble 212.
Yeah, should we play a little bit?
Sure.
Little bit? Yeah, like why don't you pick one, and then do you know how to do screen sharing, or you can send it to me private, just in the private chat. You send it to me.
Sure, I'll send it to you in the private chat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'll just give you an example. Just play a little bit of it.
Yeah, I watched some of your. I also saw you interviewed Gregory. He's an outstanding young man, the bass player.
Oh yeah, William McGregor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we watch a little bit of that? I'll share that video.
He graduated, or he's still in Curtis, right?
He's still in Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was our competition winner, and there's also a little bit of a clip from our concert that we did when he was the concerto competition winner.
Yeah. Okay, I see that. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna go to share and share. You know how to share, right, by now?
Share screen. Yeah, but it's okay. I think you did a better job.
Okay, should I do it from beginning?
You can just play like a minute or 2 of it, sure.
Oh,
you can just go anywhere,
Anywhere, okay. No,
I think you have to unmute it,
There are many, many different paths in music, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. I think mine may have been a little bit unconventional for my age, but I think in the long term, it was definitely very useful to have a great mentor like that, who worked great with children, kind of guide me through those younger years, and a supportive family too.
Yeah, that's true. And so, so you started playing bass, and did you take it quite seriously from the get-go, or was it kind of did it kind of take a while to settle into it?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I do not remember most of my bass experience for the first 2 or 3 years, but all I can remember is the consistency. There was never a point when I wasn't playing. So by the time I turned 5, 6, 7, got a little more, cognitive with what I was doing, what I was playing, it became comfortable to me. And it wasn't something that was like forced or anything. It was just natural at that point.
Natural born bass.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I don't know if you heard most of the interview, but William is a very special case. So he started playing bass when he was 2 years old. 2 years old, yeah. And
do
so
they have a bass? He plays on the violin.
He played a quarter-sized cello that his teacher made into bass strings, basically.
Quarter-sized cello, yeah.
And he also talks about when he got into Juilliard. They're originally from Michigan, and his mom actually drove from Michigan to New York every weekday for Juilliard pre-college from Michigan for about 2 or 3 years.
Oh, that's crazy.
So his brother also plays violin as well. So it wasn't like it was just for him, but still, that's a very, very big dedication and
I
commute.
know.
But
Yeah.
but William is so talented. I got to meet him when he was about 7 years old, so I got to
Wow.
watch him grow up. So it was really wonderful. And the whole idea behind the interview series is, again, just to get to know people and have them share their stories, so that there's this human connection between the audience and the musicians, so that they know their personal stories. So it's been really, really fun. I also got to know a lot about the musicians themselves that I didn't know, because, you know, many times when we're in the rehearsal situation, we don't really have time to talk. You know, we're just busy, as you know, we have to kind of get to work, and we don't have time to kind of dilly-dally around talking. You know?
Yeah. So typically, when you have a concert, before this craziness, like how many rehearsals do you do for one orchestra concert?
We typically did 3, and that's kind of normal. As you know, you played in Phoenix Symphony for many years, right? So we do like 3 rehearsals and then the concert. And I did a quick touch-up rehearsal right before the concert. And it was because I don't have a lot of musicians are busy. I don't have a lot of resources. It's not like I have the funds like the New York Philharmonic or something where I have where I'm running a large organization. It's a very, very small hands-on organization. So basically a startup,
It must not be easy, huh? Because you have to manage so many people and make sure people, will commit to rehearsal. And, I think I used to manage 2 musicians altogether with myself. There's 3 of us. It's already a lot of work.
Yeah, so you couldn't imagine what that's like magnified by 10, 20 times when you have to gather like 30 people in one room. It's challenging, but and I'll say there were it wasn't a smooth ride all the time, but it was a great learning experience. And after the concert was over, I would say it was always worth it, So I never really regretted doing it. It's just that I think I went down a more unconventional path. I definitely went down the road less traveled. So as you know, like a lot of conductors, once they get out of school, they look for instead of forming their own organization, a lot of them end up working as like an assistant conductor, and then eventually graduate to associate conductor or possibly even resident conductor, and then they find their own music director positions. And for whatever reason, that path never opened up for me. And it was there was a time in my life where I felt kind of down, I guess you could say, because I felt like I was trying hard. And so, in addition to doing Ensemble 2 and 2, I also did, I applied for many jobs and things like that, but it just never really opened up. I also think, looking back, that maybe, having the right connections and having put myself in a better position to be awarded those jobs could have helped. I didn't really know better because nobody really taught me about networking and like the importance of, having a wide network, So I kind of built my own network for myself, but not really built a network to reach out to others, And there was a time where I really felt like, why did this route that I took get me here? But now when I think about what happened during the pandemic, I actually think it was the right route for me, because I think going forward, a lot of things will change. And I think more and more people are going to become more independent as musicians. And it's just that I started out much earlier. And so I feel actually very, very happy that this was the route that I took, because I always had a very, very independent mind, And when I realized that, I like being my own boss, I realized this was really, it would actually worked out the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, you are a conductor. You also play violin and viola, and you're also a arranger. Tell us a little bit about what is an arranger. And when did you start to like make arrangements like Mahler symphony, make it a smaller, or Beethoven symphony, make it smaller? Where that come from?
Okay, so sure. So arranging, for those of you who are maybe not familiar with classical music, is like taking an existing piece of work. So it's not my original composition, but it's taking a pre-existing work and then writing it or transcribing it for another medium. So like, for example, I would take like a piano piece and I would rewrite it for orchestra, or I would take a very, very large orchestral piece, which is the Mahler symphonies, and then write it for a smaller group. So I reduce it. So I do both enlarging and reducing. And it's very similar to like maybe taking a book, like a novel, and then adapting it for a movie or even a play. And, you know, that's been commonly done. And it doesn't always mean that it's going to be written the same exact way, because, you know, if you read books and movies, they never really match up. And the same thing kind of happens in arranging, because when you are taking something that's very successful for the piano and you have to rewrite it for orchestra, you have to make it successful for the orchestra. It means a lot of changing things around. You know, it's not just simply taking what's in the piano and then just putting it into the orchestra. So actually, when I developed a very, very early interest in arranging, and my one of the very first arranging projects I did was actually right after 9/11. I was a student at in Salzburg at the time, and 3 months after 9/11, they were doing a benefit concert for St. Paul's Church in Salzburg. And my uncle, who was kind of creating this orchestra that he conducted for this concert, he asked me to make a brief orchestration of New York, New York, just to kind of get the concert started. So I jumped at the opportunity because, you know, it was New York, and I felt like it was my way of contributing to this 9/11 benefit concert. And you know, I was kind of nervous because I'd never written for orchestra before, and I didn't know what it was going to turn out like. And then when I actually heard the arrangement, it actually came out quite nicely. And so that made me very happy, of course. And it gave me the idea that I could also be an arranger in addition to my conducting. So right after that, when I came back to New York from Salzburg, I started arranging Mahler's Fourth Symphony as a project, because at that time I had a lot of empty time on my hands because I was in between schools. I was just working very, very part-time, and, you know, I didn't have many projects going on. So I said, why don't I do this? And so it kind of just all snowballed from there, because, like, you know, like one thing leads to another. I'm sure it's like that with filmmaking too, right? Like, you know, what was your first filmmaking project?
My first, thank you for asking. My first filmmaking project for like learning how to editing stuff is in NYU, when I took a course in NYU to study how to make films. So yeah, so we're supposed to make a short documentary, short feature in 8 weeks. And I didn't think I could do both. So I just focused on documentary. So you have to come up with a subject, right? So I just went to my son's school. My son goes to a school is full of musical children, Special Music School of America. So everybody have to play a musical instrument, but everybody hates practicing. So my piece is called Practice. So I interviewed people, interview all the kids, interview parents, interview my own son. So the whole piece is called Practice, and it's very funny. They all tell me how much they hate it.
Are you ever gonna release it publicly, or can you show it to us?
I could, but it's actually on my Facebook. You know, if you go to my video, it's it's very early stage of my film editing. It's not very smooth, but the content is funny, and content is very original. You know, the color is not right. Many things is not right in those days. That was like a long time ago, 13 years ago.
Yeah, and it's sort of like that with me too, because, like, with Ensemble 2 and 2, every year is a learning experience, right? Because nobody teaches you how to run an orchestra. So I try to always evaluate after each, year, having done a season, and then what to do better for the next season and things like that. And with arranging, it's also kind of like that, because as you hear the arrangement, you start to make changes. Like, for example, you mentioned the Mendelssohn Octet, which I talked about at the last video a little bit. It's a little bit different from the version that's in existence now, because over the course of having performed it myself twice and then hearing other conductors perform it, you learn from your inexperience what works and what doesn't work, and this is very, very common amongst composers. Like Mendelssohn did that a lot, Bruckner did that a lot, and even Mahler did it. So it's very I think there's a misconception or a myth that, like, great composers, they compose these masterpieces in one shot and there's absolutely no change. No, it's just like film, where they edit and cut with like movies, and that's why sometimes you have like deleted scenes. Even writers have many drafts. It's the same thing with music. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that go on, where there's a lot of this trial and error experimental things. So I just wanted to let anybody know that musicians work very, very hard behind the scenes to produce their final artistic output, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I have interviewed so many composers.
Yeah, that's right.
Lately, yeah. And also, I know a lot of composers, and it's a very solitary work, right? It's like a writer, like an editor, music editor. And it takes tremendous concentration, and also what's the word? Perseverance. How do you say that?
Perseverance.
Yeah. Perseverance. Yeah. And then like myself, I can relate to a little bit, because I'm always a performer. I play the viola, but filmmaking and film editing is a very different. When I editing a film, there is a certain satisfaction that you are basically you are making the craft, right? You can manipulate almost. You can manipulate your material into the direction that you want your audience to see.
Yeah, and that's the kind of artistic freedom that I'm talking about. Because, like, let's say you were working for a film studio, then like your boss might say, "Oh, I don't like this. I want you to change that. No, I don't like this. You should cut this, or you should edit this," right? And see, because your film editing is your own project. It's great because you direct it all, and it's the same thing with me with my arranging, and it's very interesting because I do agree with you. Like, there is this kind of solitary aspect to it. So when I was doing a lot of the Mahler projects, the arranging, I actually would go to coffee shops, and I would just sit there for hours and hours on end with my score, just drinking cups of coffee, just arranging. And that's how I actually did a lot of them. Sometimes I took them to the park, or I took it to like remote locations where I could just kind of sit. I did a lot of the arranging during the summer, because I would teach during the year. I'd have a lot of other orchestra obligations, and so the summers were the times when I had more free time, and because the weather is nice, and the days are longer, I could go out and just kind of, this was all pre-pandemic, of course, I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, I would just love just going around the city, and it gave me so much inspiration. And, it was quiet enough in a coffee shop for me to just sit and just work. And sometimes I would even hop around different coffee shops.
I love coffee shops. I can relate to that. Yeah. I think the reason I go to coffee shop, sometimes I go there all day, sit there, drinking and eating and drinking and eating. It's like because the coffee shop I go, they also have food.
Which coffee shop?
It's called Max Cafe. It's
Oh,
my
okay.
office. Max Cafe is on Amsterdam. Yeah, near me.
Yeah, we gotta go there once
Yeah.
the pandemic is over.
It's really, really nice. You go in there, you feel like you're in Europe. It's a very European flavor. But what major reason I go there is because I feel sometimes when I'm at home editing, I get distracted, by television, by, I don't know, by cat, by this, and by getting up food, eat food, or whatever. It seems like a lot of a distraction at home, So when you go to a coffee shop, you sit there and it's almost like you feel like everybody is working or talking, but you cannot. There's nowhere you can go other than go to bathroom.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
So you have to work. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. But anyway,
So-
I have a question. When you say Salzburg, so Salzburg is where Mozart was born.
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
So when you were there, you're a classical musician and you're in Salzburg. How does the atmosphere in that city feels? Do people really appreciate Mozart as much as we appreciate Mozart over there?
No, it would be like saying if somebody from Salzburg came to New York and said, do you really appreciate I don't know, like movie
Leonard
stars
Bernstein.
or no, just celebrities or something that's quintessential New York, like Broadway shows. Like, does everybody talk about Broadway shows? No. So I don't think that there was any real noticeable difference between the average Salzburg. The town does kind of really capitalize on the fact that Mozart was born there. That plus the Sound of Music, they have Sound of Music tours galore and Mozart tours. There's two different Mozart museums. There's the house that he was born in, and then he later moved to another location. So there's a house that he lived in when he was a child, and both are important. And I mean, it's not to say that Mozart doesn't play an important role in the city. I mean, I think if Mozart was born anywhere else, Salzburg would have a lot less kind of celebrity in the world. I think those two things really put Salzburg on the map. Because when people say Salzburg, the first thing that comes into mind a lot of times is Mozart, or the Sound of Music.
Right. So thank you. Now let's get back to what are you working on now? Are you working on a specific work for the transcription?
Oh, okay. So I'm actually doing several things. I'm kind of multitasking, as you know. I'm never just only focused on one project. But one of the things I'm actually doing right now is I'm actually cataloging all my arrangements that I've finished. So what I'm doing is I'm giving them publication numbers. So I don't know if I told you this, but I actually self-publish my own arrangements. So I also run my own publishing house. Yeah. In fact, could I just give you a link to just show you some of my publications? Because I'm really proud of the fact that I actually engrave it myself. So it's kind of like being a graphic artist.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the link there, and then I'll just briefly show people that I have a display of all my arrangements on this website.
Sure. Let me go.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of giving them official catalog publication numbers, and I'm also assigning them what's called ISMN numbers, which stands for International Standard Music Number. So every music publication has that number that's published, and what you do is you catalog your arrangements into the Library of Congress, and then there's a record of it in the Library of Congress.
You see it?
Yeah, so if you could just click on any one of the arrangements, if you just click over it, the score will pop up. Yeah.
Hold on one second.
Sure.
Any arrangement?
Yeah.
How about this one?
Sure. Okay, so that's Rimsky-Korsakov's Procession of the Nobles. Okay. So it'll pop up, and then if you click the arrow, You'll see that I engraved it. You can make it a little larger by clicking the full screen, yeah. And you see I made the score myself. Like that's all engraved through music notation software.
Wow.
And to make it look pretty, you have to really do a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
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 So
Awesome.
that website is where you can browse through all my my catalog of arrangements, and then if anybody's interested in like performing them, they can contact me or purchase it online and things like that. Hello, Ching. It looks like we lost Ching there for a second. Okay, I guess she'll be back. I don't know who's on because. Hi, we lost you.
I know. No, I went to just make the light a little brighter because
okay.
the outside the natural light gets really dark.
Okay.
Yeah, so dark. Yeah. Anyway, so great. Yeah, awesome. I'll come back. So people can order.
Yeah, so they can go to. I do sell some PDFs online, or they can come directly to me. As you know, some of the like larger orchestral works, they're done through rental. So like, for example, the Mahler symphonies or the Mendelssohn octet, those are considered like specialty works. So I don't usually offer them for sale, but I usually offer them as a like a rental basis. Yeah. Yeah, and I've also made a chamber production of the Nutcracker, which I was conducting two ballet companies up in Connecticut from like 2014 to 2019. We didn't unfortunately do it last year because of the pandemic, but they've been using my arrangement of Nutcracker as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to make these arrangements, and people really enjoy performing them. So it gives me a lot of pleasure. I feel like I'm doing something good for the community. So it really feels like I'm contributing that way.
Yeah. I just wanted to add one thing is that if people do not familiar with why you have to make an original work, make it smaller, and I would just interpret. Sometimes you just don't have the resource to play an entire Mahler symphony with 120 people on stage, right?
Yeah.
The orchestra is really large, so by shrink it, so you can make it smaller production.
That's right.
The main reason.
So there's several reasons. The most practical reason is yes, so to allow for performances of Mahler symphonies in places where it's really hard to get 100+ musicians. So I don't remember if I told this story last time, but so I made a arrangement of Mahler's Third Symphony, and in 2019, the Prince Edward Island Symphony contacted me to perform my reduction. And Mark Shapiro, the conductor, he also conducts a chorus here in New York called Cantori Singers. He told me that actually the Mahler's Third Symphony was never performed in Prince Edward Island Symphony because the forces were too large, and that my arrangement was actually the premiere of the work in Prince Edward Island, Canada. So I beat Mahler to performing his Third Symphony there through my arrangement rather than the original.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we? Yeah, it's 5 minutes before. Should we talk about our boy?
Yeah. So unfortunately, he got COVID.
My son, my #1 son got COVID.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I hope he recovers quickly, and I wish him well, and I'm supporting him, of course, for the mayoral run, and I think he has a good shot at winning.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know if you've been following the news, but you've seen all those articles that have been coming out, right?
Yeah, a lot of negative articles.
Yeah, what do you make of that? I feel like it's almost like they're trying to just attack him. And, I thought about it today. It's kind of racist in a way, I feel, because I feel like they're kind of ganging up on him because he's an Asian American candidate. I feel like if it was anybody else, they wouldn't really do this. I know this may be a little bit controversial, but I really feel that. Like, I feel like they know that he's not going to make a fuss over it, so they just keep attacking him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's just a lot of different directions. You know, the bodega thing is okay. You know, the bodega, somebody actually went there. They checked the space. It actually, when you are there, it looks smaller. When
I went there. I remember I tweeted it.
You did?
Yeah, I went there, yeah. I said deli or bodega. You decide.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what I mean, is it a big bodega?
No, it's just a deli. So like, okay, so I think like he calls deli and bodega the same thing, and not all bodegas are like these rundown things. I don't know why they have this idea that bodegas have to be like run down, you know. And okay, it wasn't, you know, run by you know, Latin American person. It was the person who owns the deli or the bodega, whatever you want to call it, is Yemeni. He's from Yemen. You know?
Okay.
He's an immigrant.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's really not a big deal, you know.
Yeah. Is it in Queens? Where is it?
No, it's in Manhattan.
It's in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I thought it was in Queens.
No, it's in Manhattan.
Where? Give me the address later. I want to go check it out.
It's 49th and 9th. Yeah.
It's so close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's,
I thought that shot was in Queens. You know.
No, it's in Manhattan. Yeah. Because Matt Skidmore, he found out where it was. You know, he's always great with finding information.
Yeah.
He found out where it was, and I realized it was very close to where I was. So I went to check it out.
Yeah. No. I want to check out. Yeah, I want. Yeah. I'm curious. So that's kind of nonsense, right?
It really is. And what really kind of upsets me is that they make these like articles, which is really nothing, and that's why I feel like it's a little bit kind of, you know, like maybe it has something to do with the fact that he's Asian American. And then the thing is, like, it gives people the wrong impression of who Andrew Yang is, especially if they're not following. Like, I think, like, for people like you and I or other people in the Yang Gang who know who Andrew Yang truly is about, you know, they can see through the kind of superficial fakeness of it all. But I feel like it gives him a perception problem because, you know, maybe like people think, oh, you know, he doesn't. You know, he's very aloof. Like, he doesn't know the difference between a bodega and a deli, or he's from out of town. He's not a true New Yorker. And like, it's basically fake news. I mean, it's an established fact that he's lived here since 1996. You know, you know, most people of his stature have a home outside of New York, in upstate New York. There's absolutely nothing like wrong or anything that's like out of whack with how he lives, you know. He's just a normal guy, and they're spinning it like as if he's some kind of very like somebody who doesn't really understand what's going on. No, he knows what's going on, and he tries to make a joke of it, and then people take him too seriously.
Yeah, I know. That's too bad. And then the article I read on Business Insider. Did you read that one?
Yeah.
So that article, it looks just a lot of complaint from someone very bitter. Someone got demoted or are not happy with some organizer at the campaign. It's not direct, sort of. It's not so too direct to Andrew Yang, right?
No. I mean, I think there were some issues. Every campaign, you know, has issues, right? Even Bernie Sanders, there was an issue in 2016 where some women felt like some of the men in higher positions did not really respect them. You know, there was an article like that as well. I don't know if you saw, there was a rebuttal, or like Business Insider basically made another like editorial comment saying that this article was not up to their standard or something like that.
Oh, really?
And they basically said that this really wasn't a good article. you know.
Huh.
But then they published it, of course. So of
Yeah.
course people are not going to see the corrections or the apology or the you know the mea culpa. They're going to just see the main article, and that's what's going to be featured, you know. So it gives me a very, very bad impression of the media. And then of course people talk about it, and then you know on Twitter, on social media, they pass it around, and very few people on social media ever take the time to read articles. Also, the Business Insider article, I think, has a paywall, so it's not easily accessible, but they'll see the headline, of course. And it gives people the wrong impression. They think Yang is somebody who doesn't like women, or he's a chauvinist, and you know I don't believe that's the case. You know, that there's no proof. But I sometimes feel like maybe he needs to do a better job really addressing that and say, no, this is BS. And just like how he came out to talk about, you know, whether he's a new, you know, real New Yorker or not, he said, you know, just say it in my face. So I think, you know, people really should, you know, or he should really just address it very, very forcefully and say, no, this is not who I am. And, you know, they're just painting me to be somebody that I'm not, and this is full of baloney. It's just BS, and this is not, you know, who I reflect. And some of the other, you know, women who worked for Yang, you know, they came to his defense. You know.
Like Carly.
Carly. Yeah, and Heidi. I met Carly once briefly. She's an extremely wonderful person. She let me into one of the fundraisers actually to see Yang. So it was really nice of her to invite me in.
Right. So that's, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to edit my film, you know, Yangan Diary, like to show to people now. I feel like it is a testimony of how we like Andrew Yang. Yang worked for him so hard. You know, it is not a direct, like it's not a piece following Andrew Yang, but
exactly.
I am following Yangan, and I'm a Yangan. So so it's an indirect of a good portray of the campaign, of the people.
Absolutely.
So I thought it's gonna be good for Andrew Yang. When I first finished, I didn't even know he was going to run for mayor. I just wanted to finish sooner than later, you know.
Well, like I said, you have to make part 2 when, you know, talking about the mayoral run and things like that. Well, I want to share something with everybody, is that, you know, I think I mentioned this at the last interview, but I wasn't very politically active until, you know, I met Andrew Yang. And I thought about, you know, there have been a lot of politicians that, you know, I liked and disliked, but the thing that really makes Andrew Yang stick out for me is that nobody inspired me to actually volunteer for them or to become more active politically, you know? And that's the difference that Andrew Yang made on me personally, as opposed to anybody else. Like, I'm a big fan of Barack Obama. You know, I supported his campaign, but I never donated money to him. I never volunteered. I just knew I was going to vote for him. And I think there are a lot of people like that for Andrew Yang also. I mean, now that he's become more famous, like they say, oh yeah, I'll vote for you. But they're not going to be out on this, you know, canvassing or, you know, meeting at our hangouts and things like that. But I do know some of my friends who support him. But I feel like there was something different about Andrew Yang that really, he's the first kind of like, quote unquote, politician that I could really relate to. Like, I felt like somebody like me is actually running for office, you know. You know, he plays piano, he you know, he's Asian American, he knows kind of like the growing up in an immigrant household experience is like. You know, he's also a Mets fan. He also likes the Knicks, or he used to like the Knicks, like I did. And so, you know, there were just many ways. And he also lives in New York. He lives in my neighborhood. He's like practically my neighbor, you know. So like, all those things like really made me feel like, wow, like there's, you know, like somebody that I like could know and like, you know, relate to is actually running for president. Like that was the really amazing thing. It's not that I dislike other politicians. It's just harder for me to connect with them.
Yeah, yeah. Yunji, can we play just the 2 minutes of the opening of my doc? Just the open 2 minutes.
Sure.
It's called intro.
Yeah, of course.
Because the movie is not in the public. The movie has a password on Vimeo.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if I leave it on YouTube, it's not good for qualification for applying for festivals. You know?
I see.
So I took it off from the. So I made a film, and Yunji is in it a lot because Yunji and we went to canvassing. We met first is in 2019 October 5th. At the canvas at the Java Center, and then we went to many New York events, and then we teamed up with Nick. So 3 of us, we went to Iowa to canvas for Andrew Yan. So this is an opening of my piece.
How did you get that opening shot done?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Okay.
I've been meaning to ask you that.
Okay. Wait.
Try again. There we go.
I got mail.
Yeah, this one.
My name is Ching Juhl. I have a passion for capturing events. Today, I'm going to meet Andrew Yan for the first time.
Understand why you looking crazy. And the demons fill me up, got me feeling hazy. All I got is the light, him keep me up. Like a thief in the night, him creeping up.
You know that what we did to the manufacturing jobs, we will now do to the retail jobs, the call center jobs, the fast food jobs, the truck driving jobs, and on through the economy. Andrew Yan! Andrew Yan! And I'm going to be offering real solutions. Americans will immediately see the difference, and that's how we're going to win in 2020.
A closing statement that was perfectly crafted, got to his main stuff, and told you why he's different and why that's good and why it goes to the question of electability. Andrew Yan.
I am that candidate. I can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump. It is not left. It is not right. It is forward, and that is where I'll take the country in 2020.
There I am.
Something familiar in the things I see. I'm beating fast, I don't wanna be standing here when he comes for me. Can't look up, babe. It's scaring me. Feel like something's coming after me. Something's coming after me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get that shot in the mailbox?
Good question. Hold on, let me go back. Yeah. So actually, I was with two other young guys when I shot that. It's Jack Chen and Lori Chen was with me. So I think I need to give credit to Jack, or either Jack or Lori. I don't remember. Laura is Jack's wife, and I think one of them, they suggested. So what I did is I just put a camera inside a mailbox, and did a shot of did a shot. Yeah, I think I used the front camera or back camera. I forgot. Probably I used the back camera because back camera has better quality. If you shoot with the front camera, the quality is not very. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So to answer your question, we did it together. Actually, we sort of, I was opening, and then I asked Jack to hold the camera when I was open the mailbox. So, did you like the opening?
Yeah, it was just so cinema. I love the cinematography. How you just, you started with the plates and how it opens up. It's like, you open up from the darkness and it shows the tunnel opening into the light. Yeah.
Thank you. So from time wise, I always feel a little guilty. In other words, from timeline, I shot that scene in March of 2020. Andrew Yang already suspended, and I ordered a plate in New Hampshire in January, and then he quit a week or two later. So I came home, I didn't know what to do with the plate. So it's kind of there's a story in this plate, and but finally Andrew Yang saw my car.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Yeah. So he was happy. So we took a picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Yeah, thank you. So anyway, let's wish him the best, and hopefully he's not gonna get too sick, and he can come back all immune, and then.
We'll see,
Yeah. So anything else you would like to shout out before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. So kind of wrapping up today's discussion about Beethoven and Andrew Yang. So I just want to make a brief mention about my next arranging project, which I was going to tell you earlier, is that so I'm working on making a orchestral transcription of the Eroica variations by Beethoven, Opus 35. And this uses the famous theme that he uses in the Third Symphony. So he uses this in several pieces. He uses it in a contradance, which is like a kind of a village dance piece. That's where it originally comes from. And then he uses it in the Prometheus ballet. And then he also uses it in the Eroica symphony. So the first theme is which is the famous opening of the last movement of the Eroica symphony that many people know. But it also opens this variations as well. And then the theme also comes later. Yeah. So because it's used in two of his other orchestral pieces, I thought it would be a very, very good piece to orchestrate, to transcribe for orchestra. And as you know, so I was supposed to do this last year, but because of the pandemic, things got delayed. Last year was Beethoven's 250th birthday anniversary, so there was a lot of celebration going on, and I thought that, in order to celebrate 2020, it would be really wonderful to make that transcription, because the Mendelssohn Octet I did back in 2009 when it was Mendelssohn's 200th birthday anniversary. And then, I thought about this project more and more, and I said, you know what, I want to make something personal about my arrangement too. And again, part of it was, I have to say, it was kind of inspired by you, because you have that Yang Yang diary. So my idea is to dedicate this arrangement to Andrew Yang. So I want him to be the dedicacy. I don't know how to pronounce it, but sorry, you were muted.
Sorry, dedicatee.
Dedicatee, that's right. That's the word. Okay, so the dedicatee is Andrew Yang. Okay, and so here's the joke. So the joke is, how Beethoven originally dedicated the Eroica Symphony to Napoleon?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. And you know why he did that, right?
I don't remember.
Okay, Beethoven believed that Napoleon was like a new type of politician. You know, like he was like the new face of democracy, or like, you know, he was the anti-establishment, basically, right? Like just like Andrew Yang, the anti-aristocracy. You know, like because you know, and so and then when Napoleon declared himself emperor, you know, Beethoven realized he made a big mistake, and he scratched, you know, the name out of that copyist score, that famous, you know, scribble that you see. Yeah. So since Andrew Yang is the humanity candidate, I figured I would dedicate, you know, because Beethoven also believed in, you know, humanity, right? And, you know, he was a big believer in democracy and, you know, kind of being progressive at that time, you know. So I thought that would be very, very fitting, you know, also given that 2020 was the year that Andrew Yang ran for president. You know, it all kind of ties in. I just thought it was really fascinating, you know. And the joke is that this dedication will stay because, you know, Andrew Yang is not Napoleon and I'm not Beethoven, so.
That's a wonderful attempt.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then there's another sub-story behind this. So, you know, this piece has variations, right? So it's the theme and variations. There's like an introduction. There's like 15 variations of finale and an introduction where it has like 4 or 5 sub categories. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to dedicate each little subsection. There's about like 19 of them in total. I don't remember the exact number. But basically, what I'd like to do is I'd like to dedicate like each of the subsections to Yang Gang content creators that influenced me during the campaign, because when I was really getting into Andrew Yang, I would watch a lot of these videos, you know. So I hope that, you know, once this project becomes more fully realized, I'll be able to contact them. Yeah.
Yay!
But I'm definitely dedicating a variation to you, because you are a content creator.
I'm so honored.
that influenced me during the campaign. You know,
Thank
so
you.
I wish I could do everybody, but I'm gonna just try to choose the people that influenced me during the campaign, only because that's what inspired me to get more into Andrew Yang. So.
Yeah. No. It's thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to take a liberty showing you something. This section did not make it to my doc. It's not good. It's just really long. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to show you. Okay.
What's it? Oh, it's me.
But I actually got into Yang pretty early on in like April of 2018, and I saw a little Facebook ad that said Andrew Yang for president, and I said, this looks really curious, Asian guy running for president, and of course that
Sorry, sometimes
took me down a rabbit hole to where I am now, and probably will in some ways never get out of, but that's a good thing. UBI for artists. So none of the other candidates really talk about the importance of arts and culture in America, and of course, me being a musician.
You know, I think I was slightly drunk when I was this.
Concerning.
So remember we were drinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see I'm a little red, and I'm like going like this.
No,
it's a good thing you cut it out.
I understand now. You know, listen, the audio is not good. Look, the dog, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of extra sound because people around.
You know, you're applying for these things. The amounts are so little.
Well, I wasn't even thinking that this was gonna go anywhere. We're just talking, right?
Yeah. So, but that's very nice.
You know, like I think.
Yeah. No, thank you for documenting it.
Yeah,
and,
it's very nice. I like it. But I just when I try to make it. Yeah. Now I remember again. First of all, it's really long, and then the audio around when you are talking is just like so many noise, you know.
Yeah.
And that day also, there's a lot of people actually talked. The content, the talk was good, but the audio quality is just so. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
no, this is exactly, I totally understand, because this is exactly what happens with Ensemble 2 and 2, because we're not really like recording the concerts with the idea of preserving it. So this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, where like if we, produce something with the mind that it's going to go on social media, it's a different approach rather than we capture something that's live. Because like when I was talking, it's good for the moment. It may not be good for camera or eventual release, like for a video or a film, right? That wasn't even my intention. But sometimes magically it can happen. But in this case, it didn't, So it's like if we did it again where, we were in a more ambient setting where, I could come prepared, I don't drink anything, then of course it can work. And then I have a better script, like right now we're just talking, right? But then like if we actually have like a more scripted talk, it would be different, So right. I totally get it,
Thank you. Okay, so are we good?
I think so. I just want to say thank you so much. I don't know who's watching right now, but I want to say thank you for everybody who's watching. If you can just go to my YouTube channel. I am planning on becoming a real content creator. I'm working on it. It's just that I'm trying to formulate in my mind what the best content to create is, because like I was saying earlier, like I have so many different interests in music. I just want to think about what specifically I can contribute value to for the audience. So if any of you have any suggestions about what you would like to hear from me as a conductor, I'd be happy to hear from you. Any suggestions? My email is yjlconductor@gmail.com. That's yjlconductor, one word, with my initials, at gmail.com. Just shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you, or you can leave comments down on my Ensemble 2 and 2 channel or on my channel. I always ask people to like, subscribe, and leave comments because I like to interact with people. So if you could do that, that would be really, really great. I would love to hear from you, and I hope to in the near future really just settle my mind, create more arrangements, and be sharing my ideas and music to help you better understand how it can enhance your life.
Right. Thank you so much for being with us. And Yunji's links are all in the description of this YouTube. Okay, so and also thank you for joining us, and our guests, and also please subscribe Juhl Media YouTube. Like I said earlier, I do this talk show at least once a week, sometimes twice or 3 times, depending on, depending on the situation. So, but Wednesday for sure, 4 o'clock Eastern time. All right, great. So until next time, I hope to see you very soon, Yoon Jae.
Yeah, I'll probably see you at one of the events once. It gets a little warmer. I honestly, I might just take it a little easy for now because I need to work on other things, and given that it's cold. But definitely after March, hopefully we'll get vaccinated by then.
Hopefully.
Knock on wood, right? So I'll definitely do more in-person events as the as the primary approaches.
Right. Okay, great. All right. Hey, thank you so much, and be safe. Take care of yourself.
All right, you too. Okay, give my regards to your family.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.